Welcome friends to the 2025 Porsche 911 GTS. This is the all-new T-Hybrid model, which means it utilizes a 400-volt traction battery system along with an electric motor mated to the PDK transmission. Total system output for this vehicle, it's 532 horsepower and 449 pounds-feet of torque, does 0 to 60 in about 2.9 seconds. And a special thank you to Bentley of Greensboro, North Carolina for this very special opportunity. This is the very first Bentley dealership in the United States. They do offer nationwide shipping, and this is one of the most affordable 2025 used GTS models in the country. It's got under 1,000 miles on it, and if you would like to purchase this vehicle, I will have Chris Rivas and his phone number on the screen and in the description box for you to contact. Now let's go over some more details regarding this all-new GTS before we get out on the road. The vehicle I'm checking out today, it's actually the pure rear-wheel drive model. That means this is the most lightweight model as well. It weighs in at 3,536 pounds. It's about 100 pounds more than the previous GTS, which is not too bad, but when you tack on things like the all-wheel drive, that's going to add an extra 100 pounds. And if you go with the Cabriolet model, that's going to be an extra 200 pounds to the curb weight. Then you can also get the Targa model on top of this. The way you see it here, this rear-wheel drive coupe, this is the exact model that I would personally go with. And this all-new GTS with its hybrid battery pack setup, this is not tuned for efficiency at all. This is all for performance. And the way Porsche has calibrated this, it's in a way that they don't want you to notice that this is a hybridized vehicle in any way. In fact, regarding the engine, we have an all-new 3.6 liter Boxer 6 engine, and we have a single turbo setup in the back. No more twin turbo for this because we have that electric battery pack to help mitigate any of that turbo lag. Being that this is the GTS, we do have the PASM Sport suspension as standard, and this vehicle does sit 10 millimeters lower than the regular 911s. And we also get rear wheel steering as standard here for this new GTS, and they actually tuned it to be a bit more aggressive in this 992.2 generation. So let's finally get this vehicle out on the road and let's see how it does. Okay, so Porsche designed this so we would not notice the fact that this is an electrified vehicle. Let's see if that's true or not. Right now I'm starting this review off in the normal mode. And I gotta say, one of the things I initially noticed is because we don't have a traditional starter here, when you start up the engine, it comes to life right away. I think that's really cool. And I have to say, the engine does sound pretty good, but as you can also see, we do have the auto stop start enabled. This vehicle is also fitted with the front end lift. Very convenient feature, works pretty quickly. Took my foot off the brake and the vehicle did come to life immediately. I have to say, in just regular driving, the car is smooth, it's pretty comfortable. It does let you know what kind of road textures you are driving over, but the overall dampening of pretty much every 911, even the more aggressive ones, is really impressive. So ride quality is something I never really complained about regarding really any 911. And pretty much every Porsche, it really masks the speed from you. You can be doing 10, 20 miles per hour over the speed limit and not even realize it. I gotta say, the rear wheel steering is quite noticeable, especially in these long sweeping corners. I don't find it to be a big negative. In fact, it makes the car feel super nimble. And you can tell they did make this rear wheel steer a lot more aggressive for sure. Let's put this into the sport mode. Actually, let's put it in Sport Plus. Now, something I really want to check out is the 8-speed PDK transmission. People have said that the downshifts are a bit more lethargic in the all-new GTS. But I don't really find that to be the case. Playing with these paddle shifters, I feel like the PDK responds immediately, just like it does with any other 911. And even in the Sport Plus mode, the ride quality, it doesn't really get that much more stiffer, but the vehicle itself becomes a lot more visceral, especially with that engine noise. I gotta say, I really like the way this engine sounds. You can tell that it's somewhat synthetic for sure, but I don't really consider it to be a bad thing. The overall tuning and the calibration of this engine, it does sound overall pretty natural and pretty engaging. The only other like new 911 I've driven is the Carrera S model, and sure, I like that car, but I feel like this has a bit more theatrics, and I really appreciate the way this engine sounds just a bit more than a regular Carrera S. They did a really good job tuning and tweaking this. Plus the immediate thrust that you get from this drivetrain, it is just so entertaining. It catapults you off. But unlike with a EV or something, right, which just gives you all of the thrust up front and then the top end power kind of dies out, this is not like that. This keeps hauling on the top end while being smooth and comfortable on a day-to-day basis. For instance, a lot of people complained about the sheer amount of tire noise with a lot of new 911s, and I agree. I mean, it was really bad with the previous 991s, but this new 992 generation, not bad at all. Just effortlessly passing people. And yeah, something else to note is we actually have 315 wide tires in the back. That's 10 millimeters more than the previous GTS. Overall, the wheel setup, it's 20s in the front, 21s in the rear. Once again, exceptional ride quality, even in the Sport Plus mode. Yeah, the car overall gets really aggressive, but the ride quality remains really good. But I like the way Porsche sets everything up to where everything feels natural and you feel like all the little road textures, the lines painted on the road. It's a really cool sensation. Some others have mentioned that the steering has been a bit more subdued for this GTS model. I do have to kind of agree with that. That might also have something to do with the rear wheel steering. Overall, I don't really mind it. This is still some of the best electronic steering that you can get. Very communicative. Like with all 911s, the seating position is absolutely brilliant. It can be a little difficult seeing out the back, but the side view mirrors, they do a great job. So overall, I am really pleased. I don't really have anything to complain about. All the modes feel great to drive in. It can be absolutely ballistic when you want it to, or you can just put it back into normal and have a civilized daily driver. And I think Porsche has achieved what they wanted. You don't really feel any of the electrification. You just have a nice, quick 911. And even regarding the paddle shifters, I am really satisfied with the way they perform. Downshifts, upshifts, especially in Sport Plus, not a problem. Of course, most of the time for my daily commute, I'm just going to leave this into normal and put it in the automatic mode. And this vehicle just has effortless thrust all the time, ready to go. So gearing, thrust, performance, none of that is an issue. And I like the way this 3.6 liter flat six engine sounds. With that established, let's go ahead and let's talk about the interior space now. Okay, regarding the interior of this new 911 GTS, the cabin continues to be extremely sturdy, like it is with pretty much every 911 and with every new Porsche. Build quality is superb. Of course, this interior, it's nothing really breathtaking to behold. It's not like the Bentley interiors, of course, right? It's just a straight to the point, solid, well-built cabin. Nothing wrong with that. And regarding the seats, they are extremely comfortable. And we actually have the race text inserts as well, which I personally really like regarding the Porsches. They are very comfortable. And all of the GTS models actually come with the race text headlining material. That's really great. On the regular Carrera models, you have to actually select that as a separate option. Here you get it standard. And also as standard, you get the rear seat delete for the GTS models. However, you can add back in the rear seats if you want to, and personally I would do that because that could also help to isolate the cabin a bit further. Although we don't have the rear seats here, as mentioned during the driving segment, I'm not getting a ridiculous amount of tire roar here. So well done there. Huge improvement regarding the sound isolation. We have here the Bose audio system. The Burmester is an option, but this Bose sounds great. If you don't want to upgrade to the more expensive Burmester, you're going to be really satisfied with the Bose because it has good clarity and really good bass as well. Really well tuned and calibrated. I'm impressed with that. You do get the Sport Chrono package and the Sport Exhaust as standard with the GTS models. Not a huge fan of the piano black in the center. However, I'm going to excuse it for this vehicle because I don't know what it is with Porsche's piano black, but they don't really smudge or get nasty like with some other vehicles. So that's good. And I do like the separate climate control. Very easy to use and very satisfying to use. Everything has a good tactility to it. You do get the heated seats as standard with the GTS. I do like Porsche's new infotainment. Very easy to use. You have your wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Everything is quick to respond, no real glare, and it's not like a tablet that's sticking on top of the dash. It's actually embedded into the dash of the vehicle. I also like the digital gauge cluster with these new 911s as well. Very clear, very sharp. You still got the tack in the middle, and it shows you information clearly and simply. So that's what I like about this vehicle. It's just a non-distracting interior space, and it's very easy to get used to. Storage is not immense by any means. The center armrest, you just have your phone charger in there, and the glove box is not particularly large. But of course, the rear seat area can be used as a massive cargo space, and we also have the 4.8 cubic feet trunk as well. So it is decently practical when you take into consideration the front trunk and the rear seating space. Overall, big fan of this cabin. Let's go ahead and let's conclude this review. Concluding thoughts on the 2025 Porsche 911 GTS. Just like with any other modern day 911, you are simply in awe of this vehicle's capabilities and its straight line performance. With this new GTS T Hybrid, the straight line performance, it is simply comical. Now, this T Hybrid, it hasn't completely gotten rid of the turbo lag. There is a very subtle hesitation, but then these Porsche engineers, they have managed to achieve something very special where you get that electric turbo thrust down low, but then the power continues to build at the top end as well. So the acceleration and the power, it's no surprise that it's amazing. So let's move on to some other aspects. Regarding the PDK transmission, I found no real issues with it, both in the automatic or the manual modes. The rear wheel steering, however, that's something that they made more aggressive for this 992.2. You can definitely notice it. I feel like potential buyers might be on the fence regarding that because it does lead to a slightly more detached feeling, especially with the rear end, but make no mistake, the performance provided by this new rear wheel steering system, it is not to be disputed. When you're taking those long sweeping corners, you can really feel that system working, and it simply has you glued to the tarmac, really adding to the capability. Once again, you just feel like a hero whipping this vehicle around, taking this car around the highway roundabouts. It is so impressive, but as mentioned before, there is that subtle disconnect with the rear end. I would say that the steering rack itself continues to be amazing. I would say that it's maybe just 1% less engaging than other 911 models I've tried. But once again, this 911 GTS steering, it's still some of the best steering that you will ever experience in just about any modern day vehicle. It is so good. I like the way it loads up, and I like the way you feel all the little textures on the road. And that's not just with the steering, you kind of feel it throughout the suspension and the body of the car too. It's a really cool and communicative experience that really is just the 911 that still continues to give us this experience. Perhaps the Lotus vehicles are really good in this regard as well, but I have not tried that. But with the Porsche, you know exactly what you're getting here. You're getting superb build quality, top tier dynamics, everyday livability. These new 992 models offer us a lot less tire noise than the previous cars, so it can be a very civil daily driver when you want it to be. Not to mention the other attributes like prestige, resale value, decent practicality, easy to use tech. There's just a lot to like here, and this car is just the overall package that a very wealthy client can confidently put their money behind. And it's something that journalists like myself can easily recommend. But the real question is the GTS package right for you? Is this flavor of 911 going to suit your needs? I don't know. All I can say is it does feel a bit more exciting than regular 911s I've tried, like the Carrera and Carrera S. I have not driven the turbo models of any generation, but we can sort of bring up the value proposition that this GTS has to provide. Obviously, you do get incredible straight line performance while weighing in less than a regular turbo model. This T hybrid system, it overall adds about 100 pounds to the curb weight. The GTS is unique because it's available as a pure rear wheel drive model like what I'm testing here. When you step up to the turbo models, they naturally come with all-wheel drive, and the turbo models, they still have more power and torque than what we have here with the GTS. On paper, it's a totally different product. I understand it's also got a different engine, 3.8 liters. It naturally comes with that all-wheel drive system, and you have that turbo body kit, but even the all-wheel drive version of the GTS Coupe weighs a bit less than a entry-level turbo. So that's interesting. You kind of have like that weight advantage there, surprisingly, with this GTS, while having pretty close horsepower numbers. And even though the torque is less, the torque does come on more quickly. And as we can see by that 0 to 60 time, 2.9 seconds, that's crazy, and it's probably quicker than that if you decided to conduct your own 0 to 60 tests. Not to mention the GTS models are far cheaper than entry-level turbo models. So if you like the way it drives and feels, the GTS continues to be a really good value proposition in the Porsche lineup. There is no fuel economy benefits, of course. I did find an official press release from Porsche themselves, and it had the specs in it. A GTS rear-wheel drive like what I'm checking out here for the coupe models, it's rated to get 17 in the city, 24 out on the highway. An entry-level Carrera will get better fuel economy than this T-Hybrid GTS. It would be cool if these companies can engineer these electrified products to get better fuel economy, but I understand that with current battery technology, that's not really possible because they're using the smallest batteries to save weight, and with such a small battery pack, this is the best that they can hope to achieve. They can only really improve performance and get rid of turbo lag as much as possible, while improving some other quality of life things like not having a starter, so the engine just fires right up. The engine stop starts are pretty smooth, but when you have these like loud engine vehicles, the stop start can still be annoying. And another annoyance is I wish they would just give us a physical button to turn off the auto stop start. Instead, you have to go into the menu to turn that off. Perhaps there's a button somewhere, I just didn't see it, but that's just one subtle complaint. Everything else about the vehicle, it's brilliant. I like the simple interior, comfortable seats, easy and elegantly implemented tech. It's just a great car, comfortable to be in and comfortable to daily drive. Regardless, that's my take on the GTS. Comment below, let me know your thoughts. And a very special thank you to Bentley of Greensboro, North Carolina for allowing me to do this review. This is one of the most best priced 2025 GTS models in the country. It's pretty well equipped, and this dealership is able to ship nationwide. I will have Chris Rivas and his phone number on the screen and in the description box for you to contact. Once again, this is also the very first Bentley dealership in the United States, so if you want to work with them, here you go. This is your opportunity. They also have various Bentley vehicles on their lot as well if you're interested in that. But thank you so much for watching this review. Take care and goodbye.